today we're going to show you how to make this Halloween wreath. We used a 24-inch copper work wreath and several different kinds of mesh and ribbons. All the supplies came from Trendy Tree, and we'll give you that supply list. While you're watching the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel. There's a little icon at the bottom of your screen, so you can just click on that and subscribe, and that way you won't miss our next video coming out. Okay? Let's get started. We're going to use a 24-inch work wreath. This is your basic work wreath. This is a metallic copper. It has 18 twists, and if you measure the 24-inch wreath across the back, it measures 15 inches and 12 inches across the front. But with the addition of your product, you'll wind up with a wreath that's 24 inches or even wider. We're going to do the basic poof technique, and this is black, a vertical line. This is a product that has been discontinued, but we still have a good bit in stock. But it's a really great wreath. It's a great mesh, especially for Halloween, because it's not shiny. It's kind of nubby. It sort of looks like shelf paper. Yeah. But to start your poof technique, you grasp it about 3 inches from the end, and just start on any twist. And we'll probably start on the outer edge. And they can't see that. I'm going to have to back up the camera.
You may hold it up.
Okay, just grasp the mesh about 3 inches from the end and attach it to any twist. It's just going to start on the outside. And you can just let your mesh fall on the floor. We're going to go ahead and attach that loose end. You just wrap it around the work wreath frame and just use a zip tie. And just secure that to the work wreath frame, and that way that loose end won't pop out again. And of course, we always say when you cut off the ends of your zip ties, don't use your good scissors. We don't have a wire cutter here with us. And please just excuse the air conditioning noise. It's hot down in the shop, so we moved our camera to the pool house. But so for our purposes, we're going to cut these ends off with our scissors. Now, to make your first poof, you just measure 14 inches. And our new measuring stick, one of our customers said that she cuts off the core of a 21-inch roll 14 inches to use as a measuring stick, because you cannot keep measuring sticks around the grandkids because they find all sorts of uses for them, from swords to walking sticks to everything. So measure 14 inches down your poof and just gather it and then connect it, secure it with a twist. Now, you only have to secure your twist a couple of times right now because we're going to add in some other products later. But we're going to work all the way around the outer ring, making 14-inch poofs. And if you need to, you can just kind of put your hands under there and fluff them out. And it will look a little thin right now, this first base layer will. But as we add in more product, it will look better. We're working along making our poofs, and we have a short end on a roll of mesh. And sometimes that will happen. You can work around it. We'll just take that raw edge and we'll push it to the inside and secure that with a zip tie, and we'll just tie on the mesh again just like we did the first time. But we'll open that twist of our last poof and do about 3 inches, gathered about 3 inches from the end. Just attach it into that last poof. And then we're just going to pick right back up with making our 14-inch poofs. Now we're going to take those raw edges and just tuck them to the inside and secure them with a zip tie so they won't pop out later. Sometimes you'll have that on a roll of mesh. You may roll off 3 or 4 yards and it be cut and start up again. Okay, now we worked our way around back to make the last poof on the outer ring. So she's making the poof, and to attach it, I'm going to hold that up a little bit. Just going to open that first twist where you started and lay that poof down and then re-secure it. Make sure that first poof doesn't pop out. Now we have a poof all the way around the wreath. We haven't cut our mesh or anything, and now we're ready to move up to the inner ring. So what she's going to do is just gather that mesh up snug and come up to the inner ring to the closest twist and just secure that mesh, and that gives a starting point to start around the inner ring. I'm going to continue to make poofs 14 inches and go all the way around the inner ring. Now we've gone all the way around the inner ring and we're back to making that last poof again, and we're going to do it just like we did on the outer ring. Make your poof, open up that twist where you started, lay the poof down, and then secure both twists at the same time. Now we're ready to cut our mesh loose from the roll, and you'll cut it leaving about a tail of 4 or 5 inches. You'll have 2 or 3 yards left over. We've tried working out the math to use up a whole roll of mesh and make the poof a little larger than 4 inches. 14 inches. And it just didn't work out. The poofs were too floppy, too loose and floppy. So we're just going to secure that raw edge that we finished with to the work wreath frame so it won't pop out. And you can always use a work wreath frame the same color as your basic mesh, but we're going to add in some other Halloween colors to this particular wreath, so that's why we chose the copper. It gives a little contrast. Or if you don't want your twist to show, you can always tuck them to the inside. Okay? There's a wreath after we've gone all the way around the inner ring and the outer ring with the poofs. And you can always, sometimes you kind of have to hold it on the wall to see if you need to adjust any of the poofs, make them larger or smaller or anything. So now this wreath is ready to decorate. But let's go ahead and measure it and see how wide it is. Twenty-six. Okay, so 26, and it has a depth of 26 inches in width and 9 inches deep, and we haven't added anything else to it yet. We're going to take this frayed natural burlap. This is 10 inches in width and it's frayed on each end. And we just cut some pieces about 14 inches. And she's going to just gather that up through the middle, just like a ruffle. But we did make these 14 inches in length, and we're going to add one of those into each twist. Now, it's very important when you make these, or when you attach them, that you open up the twist from your poof, open up the twist, make sure your poof stays in place, and then lay this little ruffle down right on top of that, and then secure back. And we're still just going to give it a couple of twists because we're going to add in some ribbon strips after this. But this burlap on top of this black will kind of give it more of a primitive, antique, vintage look. And you could add in, well, you could just do any color. Sure goes a lot quicker when you got two working. And you'll have some strings from this frayed burlap for sure. Of course, it's frayed on the end, so it doesn't really matter. We're kind of going for the stringy look. Oh, I didn't say, this particular product has a poly base, which is plastic, and then it has a jute thread through it, so it really gives it a little different texture and look. Okay. All right. I think that just adds in a little extra rustic. Okay. Now, next we're going to do some ribbon strips. Next, we're going to add some ribbon to the wreath, and we have this great Halloween ribbon that's burlap. It's a natural with a black harlequin pattern, and then also some plain, I think that's sackcloth, and then that gray. Black and orange, it kind of has a primitive look. And we're going to cut some 24-inch strips and just make it sort of a loop. Cut a 24-inch strip. Well, let's cut one, then I can show you. Oh, 24 is 2 blocks. You got it. If you would angle those ends off, we wound up with one pair of scissors. Okay, so we're going to take the plain, the 2.5 inch, and then layer that 1.5 inch on top of that. And we just did an angle cut at the ends, and gather it about 6 inches from the end, and then open a twist. Now it's really important that you open a twist and lay the ribbon strip down and then secure the twist back. Now this will be the last thing. Well, no, it's not. I'm going to put one more layer of ribbon. But give it a couple of turns and then get it about 6 inches from the end again. And it's kind of going to go over to the next twist and just open that up and secure that. Make sure all your other layers stay in place. That would sort of look like that. Of course, you can do ribbon strips any way that you want to, but then we're also going to take the harlequin ribbon and cut a 12-inch strip. Now I chevron the ends of this. You can chevron it or not, however you want to, but just pinch it in the center. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to open that twist up again, and I'm going to lay that short 12-inch strip down on top of that. And we're going to put one of those in each twist around. Okay? Of course, there's lots of different ways that you can put your ribbon on any way that you want to. You don't have to cut it. You can go in and layer it in, going around. The most important thing, though, is to open the twist, put your ribbon down, and then close your twist. If it's your last layer, you can close your twist now 3 or 4 times. Just grasp your ribbon about 6 inches from the end. Open the twist. Of course, it'll get tangled up with all this frayed edge mesh. You may have to have the scissors to get it open. Just kind of let your loop kind of lay loosely over your poof and attach it at the next twist. I love this black and orange ribbon, and that's a 25-yard roll, so there's a lot of it. It's always a good idea to practice your width, experiment with your width before you cut up all your ribbon. Your poofs might not be the same size as mine and so forth, so just cut a scrap ribbon or start with one and see how you like it before you finish cutting up your ribbon. Okay, now there's our wreath after we've done the loops. And we decided, I think, to cut the harlequin ribbon 13 inches in length instead of 12. And like I say, you'll just have to experiment before you cut your ribbon up in case you need to change anything. We're pretty bad about changing things once we get started. I love that ribbon. We've got it in orange and black. Did you cut it again?
No.
And instead of doing a chevron cut, we just tapered the ends. And we're putting one of these strips in every twist. Just want to make sure you have your ribbons right side up. Of course, we can always fluff the ribbons out when we're done, but that's basic. How's that look?
Looks good.
Okay. Next, we added some 4-inch copper styrofoam balls. These are very lightweight, and if you wanted to, you could just hot glue them in, but we're not going to because we try not to do anything permanent to the wreath because we'll take this apart and use it again. So I'm taking the styrofoam ball and just threading a chenille stem through a string loop, and then just take the ball and just wrap it around the chenille stem until it's snug. Well, I have to get it started. There we go. Now, so you have like a ball on a pick, and then you can take the chenille stem and wire it to the work wreath frame. You can just find the position for your balls and then just slide it on there and then secure it from the back. Now you may want to hang your wreath on the wall to get your placement. It just all depends on how your ribbons lay, where you want to put your balls, okay? Now the next thing we have is this great pumpkin head on a stick, and he's kind of natural and black. It's just very cute. And this, it says on a stick, you can't bend this. And then we also have this new Spanish moss pick. So we're gonna layer these two items together and put a zip tie around it, so that we're gonna put this on the front of our wreath all in one piece. Oh, the zip tie's spilled. Let me put two on it. We'll just zip tie that together and put it on as one piece. And then we're going to make just a loop bow. And then we'll put our bow right along here. And then we're going to kind of position him on the front of the wreath.
I'd love to help you.
All right, we're just going to, this roll of ribbon has 25 yards, so we're just going to make, it's the same on both sides, so you don't have to do any twisting to get your right side up. So we're just going to start out with about a 12-inch tail, give it a pinch, and make about a 6-inch loop. Bring a loop up from the bottom, and we're just going to do several loops like that to make a bow. I love this ribbon. And we've got a lot of ribbon on the wreath already, so we don't have to have a huge bow. That's probably enough. So we're going to just cut that off. I'm going to take a chenille zip tie and just go around the center of the bow. Cut me off another piece that will be for like 2 tails, so like 24-inch piece. Just.
I know. You know I like to be exact.
You know, it doesn't have to be exact. We've got to have some new scissors. Now I think I'm just going to make some extra tails and just bring that chenille stem and just secure this with a chenille stem.
With a
Zip tie. But we are going to have a chenille stem before we pull that tight. Going to run a chenille stem under there so we'll have something to secure the bow to the wreath. Now pull it tight. Okay?
Watch out.
Okay. Okay. So now we can secure that bow to our pick. Just hit. Tell him to come on in if he wants to. We have a visitor at the door. So you go ahead and say it. What? AJ shot an 83. Okay. AJ's playing golf today, so.
He's done.
He's done. Okay. All right. So now we're going to take. Okay. That's a Halloween hat. All right. Go put it back over there. We're going to take our little pick and we're going to secure him sort of to the front of the wreath using zip ties. It turned out pretty big. Well, you may have to just hang your wreath on your wall to get your placement of your little pick here. And I love the Spanish moss. Of course, you can't, it's hard for you to see it all right here. We'll take some pictures of it on a door. But that's it. The wreath measures about 28 inches in diameter, in width. And I really like that bow. Okay? Well, there's our wreath after we finished it. I like the way it turned out. Whenever you finish your wreath, always be sure and fluff out your ribbons, clip any strings, and always check the back of your wreath and make sure you don't have any sharp objects from the chenille stems or zip ties that might scratch your wall or door. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and visit us at Trendy Tree, where we've got thousands of wreath making products, everything from work wreaths to mesh, ribbons, and embellishments like this. Thanks for watching. We hope you'll share our videos with your friends, and stay tuned. We got lots more tutorials coming out. Thank you.